Well, welcome in, my fellow Nebraska fans, on what was a rough start to the day. As always, I'm your post-game Nebraska coach here, Christian Hunt. I'm going to be kind of recapping this game for you. Hopefully, we can get a little bit of some different people to comment on it. Let's see here. Good news for us is we finally get to see a Nebraska win in what felt like forever. They gave us a little bit of a scare there as going into halfway through the fourth quarter, it was a one possession game. The boys did a great job, regardless of whether it was an FCS team. They did a great job of bowing up when they had to and sort of uh, taking control of the game here. You know, one of the big things that we wanted to see is, I think, arguably, you know, I myself kind of thought this game was going to be long over going into the fourth quarter. It was one of those kind of things where you think, okay, we're going to get a big head start on traffic and sort of get going. And you know, it just wasn't that. You know, let's look at some of the positives from it though. What you can sort of gather here. I think a big positive out of this game is, you know, let's not focus on necessarily who they were playing to start this off. Let's focus on the big things, right? They down the stretch, they figured out what they do well, and that is pounding the rock. You know what I mean, with Anthony Grant, who, man, that kid is a man amongst boys out there. He did a great job in this game. Again, he had, let's see here, what the stats showing me again? He had 23 carries, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, every time they handed the ball to him, it seemed like he was just breaking tackles and just making something out of nothing. So towards the end of this game, I think they started figuring out what they needed to do, and that was they needed to pound the rock, and they started to take advantage of that, right? And they started pulling away in the fourth quarter again by just being a more physical team with them. Let's see here. Also, we'll take this time to talk about the voice of college football, who is our proud sponsor of the show. Uh, you can join them on the call-in shows at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, just about every day of the week, right? While we're also talking about it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as that really helps the channel out. Again, this is my first time kind of going live with you guys by myself, so be sure to take it easy on me a little bit. It's not the day we certainly thought we were going to have as Nebraska fans here, right? But it's always good to come out of this with a win. You know, I took some notes from the game, and one thing I want to kind of get into with you guys is it's very interesting. You know, the linebacking core, who's normally led by Nick Heinrich, you know, he didn't play today. So with Heinrich not playing, Travis Vokalek, you know, the all-star tight end that we've got, didn't play today either. I think, you know, both sides of the ball, as much as the problems, you know, as much problems as we certainly saw, I think they asked some young individuals to step up and make plays, and I certainly think they did. I certainly think they did for sure. Let's see here. I was going to kick this over here to Zach Robinson. He said, "We're in trouble. There is definitely leadership issues somewhere. Talent isn't the issue." Yeah, no, listen, I get it. You know, talent certainly isn't the issue, right? It's coaching. I mean, that's why you go into a one possession game going into the fourth quarter against an FCS team. You know, you can sort of draw it when you look at Iowa. Iowa had their hands full against arguably a much better, you know, South Dakota State team this, you know, today. The only thing that saved Iowa was their defense, right? If you know, if Scott Frost and this coaching staff, if they can figure it out going forward, and they've got a chance, right? They're gonna, if they play like this next week against Georgia Southern, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good, right? Southern's a much more talented team. I don't want to get on that whole spiel. I don't want to focus on a lot of the negatives in this, though. I want to try to draw upon the positives, right? And that is, again, if Nebraska can simply just run the ball, right? They've tried to open it up and try to have this sexy offense where we got to throw it downfield and we got to try to distance ourselves from what, you know, Adrian Martinez and the, you know, the what we used to do running the triple option. We need to sort of be a high, you know, spread you out sort of team. Look, at the end of the day, getting cute will almost get you beat in these kind of games, right? And I think they started realizing that towards the end of the game, and that's why you started seeing them just, all right, hand it off. Let's see. Zach also says, "Yeah, I want Frost and his crew to work, but I've seen a worse team with better talent than we have had in a long time." Yeah, no, 100%. It's all about how you manage that talent for sure, Zach. I mean, it's going to be one of those things that they have to do a better job at managing the talent, and that's going to be what's going to define the Scott Frost era. They have to put these kids in or they have to put the kids in the opportunity to succeed, right? Ultimately, the coaching staff has got to do a better job at just putting them in a better spot. I mean, there was, I wanted to make sure I did this right and I kind of had everything right before we started this. So one of the big things, and we'll kind of talk about it here again, is Nebraska. They end up pulling away late to beat North Dakota. 38-17 here. Again, I would say, if we had to pass out a game MVP, it almost feels, like the one bright spot or a couple of the bright spots you can look at was Anthony Grant. Okay. He had 23 carries, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Again, he did a fantastic job at, whenever they called upon him of running the football. Looking at, Casey Thompson, the quarterback of the Corn Huskers, looking to see what he could do in his second game with them. 14-21, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he had a fumble, right? And that was that big sack in the first half that sort of felt like it changed a little bit of the momentum. As far as the defense is concerned, we'll start getting into this. The defense gave up 5.3 yards per rush, and they allowed North Dakota to control the time of possession. Normally, if it's a huge blowout, yeah, you are going to let that other team's going to have the ball a lot longer. But this didn't really feel that way. It felt like North Dakota was, they gashed them, and they had that one long run, I believe it was in the first half, to really just put that statement. It was either the first half or early in the second half where they just gashed them. And the run defense has really, really got to step up. The one thing I will say on the defensive side of the ball, though, if we can sort of get back to that, is they did a lot better job. Finally we started seeing Garrett Nelson come back in here. I saw O'Shawn Mathis get in there doing a good job. Stephon Wynn had a great play where he ran out and they ran sort of a real quick misdirection, little play back to the other side. And Stephon Wynn, the defensive tackle, got out there and made some plays. So that's certainly a bright spot, for the team, right? Again, they're missing Nick Heinrich, who's one of the heart and souls next to Luke Reimer there in the middle of the field. So, they defensively, like I said, the problem, and here's the other problem that, feel free to kind of comment on it too. Part of the problem is they weren't able to stop them on the perimeter. Their perimeter defense, it seemed like every time they kept getting the ball out there, handing it off or bouncing it outside, the tackling out there they just couldn't tackle them. It wasn't, I don't know what you guys think about that. I mean, what do you guys certainly think? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments section, but the tackling on the perimeter just wasn't where you would want it to be, right? Certainly not, as you're looking to, in a couple of weeks, play, you're looking to play Oklahoma, not to skip Georgia Southern. I certainly don't want to do that. Nobody here wants to take anybody off, but you're going to have to, especially when you start stepping up to play Oklahoma and you start stepping up to play in the Big Ten, you're going to have to do a better job at making those tackles out in the open space here.